Hey, how's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another video. Today I have a bunch of items that sold over on my eBay store for almost $2,800. If this is your first time here, my name is Ben, and here on my YouTube channel I show you all about my online reselling business. And in videos like this, I go through my eBay store, show you a bunch of sold listings in hopes that it helps you guys out in your own reselling adventures. So if you do end up enjoying this style of video and the information that I provide, please consider subscribing and liking this video. It helps me out, I help you out, it's a win-win situation. But with all that being said, let's go ahead and hop into our first item. The first item I'm going to talk about here is my best sale for the last few weeks. This thing was amazing. I picked it up for 50 bucks at a yard sale, and it was this brand new Canon Pixma Pro printer. When you're looking at printers, you want to look at big name brands, stuff that has a good following and stuff that is known for having good quality prints. You want to look for brands like Canon, like this one is, Brother, Epson. Those are all great brands to look for when you're out there. Now, this one was brand new, so obviously it's going to go for a premium. I sold this one for $900 plus $100 shipping, so $1,000 total is what my buyer ended up paying. But you can still find used printers that still have some decent value behind them. This one, for example, if you were to find it used, would sell for still around $600 to $700. But with that being said, I do want to say that if you are picking up used printers, make sure you are testing them out thoroughly. Make sure you're testing out the print heads, making sure that there are no errors that come up. You want to be sure that this thing is working before you send it out, because returns on printers stink because they cost a lot to ship. Speaking of shipping, I know it's a daunting task to ship a large item like this. I mean, this thing was massive. If you guys are wondering how I ended up shipping this thing, check out the link up top. I showed you in that video how I sent this thing out. The next sale I'm going to talk about here is this lot of PS2 Guitar Hero stuff. I had 2 guitars and a game that I lotted up together and sold for $85. Guitar Hero stuff on older consoles has been steadily increasing in value over the last couple years, which is insane to think about, because a few years ago you could have went to your local trade-in video game store or even your local GameStop and they were literally giving this stuff away. I mean, you could have went up there and asked them for a guitar and they wouldn't even want to sell it to you. They would just give it to you because they were in such abundance and they just had an overstock of them. But now they have stopped producing this stuff and these things do break. So people that still want to play these games are willing to pay up for these guitars to be shipped to them as long as they're in working order. So if you're coming across some of the Xbox or PS2 guitars or Xbox 360 guitars, make sure you're looking them up. They do have some value. These ones right here were wired ones, which is great because you don't have to worry about losing the little dongle receiver. But I bring that up because some of the dongle receivers by themselves for wireless guitars can sell for some insane money. I'm talking like $60, $70, even $80 for some of just the dongle. This is not the guitar, just the little receiver piece on like PlayStation 3 guitars and Xbox One guitars sell for some crazy money. So if you ever are at a yard sale, make sure you're looking at the guitars. If they have the little pieces, even better. This thing right here was pretty cool. This is a vintage Coca-Cola varsity football sweater. I couldn't find any comps on this thing when I picked it up, but I knew I had something special. So I listed it high. I think I originally had it listed at 99 bucks, hoping that a buyer or a collector would come along and see it. Unfortunately, it sat on my store for about a year, and eventually I took a best offer on it of $76, and I'm still more than happy with that. The reason I ended up picking this up and thought it was so cool was for a few reasons. First off, it appealed to the vintage market. I mean, just look at that thing. It has that awesome vintage look. It's on an old school Coca-Cola tag. I mean, that's just cool. Secondly, I also thought it would appeal to multiple markets like the football collector's market, because it did have a giant football on the center of the clothing piece, and the Coca-Cola collector's market, which is a very large collector's market out there. So I thought it would have multiple appeals in various different categories. And it did get a decent amount of traffic over on eBay. It had a bunch of views, it had a bunch of watchers, I had questions on it, but I just wasn't making the sale. So when this person sent me a $76 offer, I figured, hey, I didn't have any sold comps to compare this thing to. It's been sitting for a while. I kind of made the price up just off the top of my head based on what I thought it might be worth. So I am fine with accepting that $76 offer, even though it was 25 bucks lower than my initial price. Next, we've got an item from the category that I've talked about a decent amount on my channel, and that is Baseball and softball bats. These things can sell for some insane money, and we are in the spring season, spring and summer, so this stuff is selling hot right now. This one right here was a Micken NRG Pro Series model softball bat, and it sold for me for $100. And if you look at the pictures on this one, you can actually see that it was not in the best shape. You can see it has some marks and scuffs and scrapes, fading, discoloration. It needed some work on the handle. It just was not in the best shape overall, but it also had some value. I'm not a pro when it comes to baseball bats by any means, or softball bats, but I do know how to look them up when I'm at a yard sale or at a thrift store. There's always some kind of model number on the bat somewhere. That's all you do is type that model into eBay and it'll tell you if it's a good one or not. When it comes to baseball bats and softball bats, I'm typically sticking to the adult size ones or the high school ones. I don't really look at the kids bats too much unless they are in amazing shape or they're a really good name like DeMarini or Micken or something like that. For the most part, I stick to the adult size ones because they tend to be worth more money. Now, something I do want to point out with bats is I was talking about the condition of this one wasn't in the best. It had scuffs and scrapes and stuff. One thing that you do want to look for is to make sure it does not have any cracks inside the barrel or on the handle or anything. Just take your fingernails, run it up and down the barrel. If something catches your fingernail, look at it. If it's cracked, do not buy it. It shoots the value of the bat. It's just not worth anything, and it's going to be a bad buy if you buy it. But when it comes to scuffs and scrapes and marks and discoloration like on this bat, there wasn't any major damage. It was all just surface wear. That was the graphics coming off the bat. There weren't any deep scratches. There weren't any cracks in it. So this thing still had a decent amount of money, and I want to make sure that you guys are looking out for bats when you're out at the sales yourself. Next is one of my favorite things to find and sell, and that is toys. I love selling vintage toys, and this one right here was pretty special, which is why I included it in this list. This is a 1983 A-Team Armored Attack Adventure Set. This actually ended up selling to a viewer here on YouTube who's also a collector, so thank you for that sale. I really appreciate it. But this thing was just super cool. It was brand new in the box. The box did have a little bit of wear and stuff, as you can see down here. The glue started to come undone, and the back was coming off a little bit. It was a little crinkled, but everything inside still had the plastic on it. It was brand new, and it was a cool piece. But the reason I'm showing you guys this specific toy sale is because of the connection it led to. I found this garage sale. I told the lady, hey, I'm looking for video games and old toys. She's like, hey, I've got some stuff in the house. If you swing by a little later, I'll pull some out for you, and you can see if you're interested in anything. I said, yeah, sure, why not? Well, I came back, and this is one of the things she ended up pulling out. I paid $25 for it, and it sold for a best offer of $189. But she also said, hey, my dad used to work as a toy distributor, and we have a bunch of vintage toys, new and used, in his house that we just don't know how to get rid of. If you're interested, let's set up a time and you can come over and look at them. Now, I've been teasing this for a little bit now. We've been trying to set up a time that works for both of us. Some plans have fallen through, but we finally figured out a time. I'm going over there tomorrow, and I am hopefully going to be buying a bunch more vintage stuff. So I am really excited about this. This is why you tell people what you do. Don't be afraid to tell people that you buy and sell, or if you're looking for something specific, let them know. It could lead to a major score. So this one is a great sale on its own, but I really wanted to stress the point, let people know what you do. This one caught me by surprise. This is a Milan soccer jersey. Now, I pick up soccer jerseys all the time, and I knew that this thing was probably going to have a little bit of value behind it. I was thinking maybe 30, 40 bucks at most, but once I got home and saw the comps on this guy, I was pleasantly surprised. This right here is a 100th anniversary edition of the Milan soccer jersey. You can see down here it has the official tags. Here's what the inside looked like. It was a Nike one. Great piece. I ended up buying this at St. Vincent de Paul for $5, and it sold for $95 in under a week. This jersey, I had no idea it was worth that much. It was just one of those things I knew I was picking up, and it ended up being a little bit of a grail of a jersey. So I was really pleasantly surprised by this piece. Like I said, I knew this thing was going to have a little bit of value behind it. It is a bread and butter piece that I always pick up, soccer jerseys if they're from a big team, but I had no idea it was going to be worth $95. This is why picking up your bread and butter items when you see them just can pay off big time sometimes. This doesn't happen often to where a jersey's worth a bunch more than what I was expecting, but I'm glad that it did. I just wanted to share this one with you guys because I thought it was really, really neat. Next up, we have a pair of North Face boots. Now, in general, the North Face market on eBay has become pretty flooded. The polo shirts and the button front shirts, the flannels, the hiking pants and stuff have been steadily coming a little bit down in value, and some of the stuff I don't pick up anymore, like the button front shirts and the polo shirts, but there is still plenty of North Face stuff that can be worth some great value. These boots right here were pretty cool. They had like a wool outside on them, and I had never seen a pair of North Face boots like that, so I thought that was a little bit unique. On top of that, they had never been worn before. They actually had the other second pair of laces shoved down inside the boots, so I knew there was going to be at least like 50, 60 bucks worth of value. However, once I comped these things out when I got home, I found one similar sold, and they were like a maroon colorway, and this one was the only gray colorway currently listed on eBay, so I bumped up the price to $115. It sat on my store for a while, but it did end up selling at my asking price. Just know if you're finding North Face stuff, yes, a lot of that stuff is flooded on eBay right now, but there is still plenty of gear out there from North Face that can have some good value. I've just seen a bunch of people talking down on North Face saying it's not worth picking up anymore, and I just wanted to show you that it was still worth picking up some of the stuff. Next, I've got a couple different things in the same category I'm talking about. These are video game strategy guides, and if you watched my video, I'll link it up top right now. There were a bunch of these donated to a local half-price books, and I went in there as they were restocking them and ended up picking up a bunch of them for like 200 bucks. I think I ended up spending. Well, some of them have started to sell. I'm not going to show you all of them that have sold, but in total, I've sold about $800 worth of these books so far, and I still probably have, I don't know, half of them left to go. But here are some of the highlights. This is Suikoden 2, sold for 150 bucks. Phantasy Star Online sold for 90 bucks. Legends of Mana sold for 75 bucks, and Thousand Arms sold for $115. So just with these 4 book sales right here, I just wanted to point out I am already in the profit on these. I had a couple people in the comments saying, hey, you're going to be sitting on those for a while. There's no way those video game manuals are going to be getting that much, but I just wanted to show you these are something that people are buying, and collectors like to add this kind of stuff to their collection. Video game stuff is just super hot. The games themselves, the accessories, and the paraphernalia has a marketplace. Guides are just kind of like a sleeper in that marketplace. It's something people pass up, but some of them have some very good value if they're from older systems like Super Nintendo, GameCube, PS2. Look for the RPG titles, look for the role-playing fantasy games, that kind of stuff. The like anime style games typically have some value behind them. That stuff is stuff that you want to look for. Look for the uncommon stuff. Not all of it's going to have a great value, but some of it will, like these. I think I've only talked about this stuff on my channel once before because I don't come across it very often, but when I do, I make sure to look it up. This right here was a voice intercom system for an airplane. Aviation equipment has a big market for it, and there is big money in it. This right here, I had no idea what it was. I just saw that it was airplane. I didn't know how to test it, so I sold it as is, and it sold for 65 bucks. Now, I haven't had a ton of experience selling aviation equipment. Like I said, I don't find it often. However, I have sold a couple sets of gauges before for some pretty good money, and I've sold I've sold like a pilot's helmet for some good money before. There's just good money in aviation equipment if you're in an area where you're able to find it. So if you're ever out there and you see like an airplane on some kind of electronic, or you see something that might look like it belongs in a plane, take the time, comp it out. It might be a little tough to find comps, but it can be worth it. This thing I picked up at a yard sale for a couple bucks, and like I said, sold for 65. Over my last few What Sold videos, I've been talking about how I've been learning Blu-rays and DVDs more and more, and I just wanted to show you a couple more good sales that I've had in the category since I've started looking at them more. This right here is Poldark. It's the complete series. It was brand new boxed. You can see it's still sealed here, and this ended up selling for 75 bucks. And then one over from that, we have a He-Man Masters of the Universe DVD set. It was the complete series. This one was used, but it still sold for $99. Now, I knew He-Man was going to have some kind of value behind it just because He-Man has a huge collector's market in the vintage toy world, but Poldark, I probably would have walked past this 6 months ago because I just never looked at DVD stuff. I might have looked at it because it was brand new, and I typically look up brand new stuff, but even used, this complete series is selling for some decent money. So if you are out there and you have a bunch of DVDs and you have some time, take some time and scan through them. It is boring. It does come up with the majority of the stuff you look at is going to be duds, but there are some gems out there, and once you learn it, you kind of get an eye for what to look for. Just know that there is some value in DVD stuff, and these two have sold for me in the last couple weeks for some pretty good money. These things right here. These have been sitting on my shelf for like a year and a half. I thought I had these listed. I looked at them the other day as I was like, putting solds away, and I was like, why haven't those things sold? Do I have those listed? I looked on my account, and sure enough, these were not listed. I totally thought they were, but these things right here are Beltronics Swingmates. I've never sold any of these before, but I remember looking them up at the sales and remembering they had some good comps on them. So I put a battery in them. Both of them ended up working. This one did have a little bit of a blemish on the digital screen right there, but it didn't affect the value too much. And these ended up selling within 2 days for both of them. This one sold for $47.50 and this one sold for 50 bucks. And they were just sitting on my shelf unlisted. If you have stuff that is unlisted, make sure you are getting it up. That money is just sitting there tied up until it's on the site. People aren't going to know you have it, and you're just going to be missing out on an easy sale opportunity like this. But more about the items themselves. These are Beltronics Swingmates. From what I understand is they help people out with their golf swings. It tells them how fast they're swinging the club and how to improve that. I'm not a huge golf person, but it is one of the categories that I would like to learn more about, specifically the golf clubs. I guarantee I'm missing out on some good money in golf clubs, but I saw this sitting at the garage sale. I figured, hey, it's golf equipment, it's electronic, it might have some value, so I picked them up. These were only a couple bucks a piece when I bought them, and I should have listed them right away because that would have been $100 more I had in my pocket sooner. And then finally, the last couple items are toys. You probably saw the video where I picked up a bunch of vintage toys at an estate sale recently. There was a bunch of Jurassic Park and G.I. Joe stuff. Well, 2 of the vehicles have already sold in under 24 hours of me listing them. This right here is the Lost World Humvee capture vehicle, sold for $120, and then the Kenner Jurassic Park Mobile Command Center. This one was near complete, sold for $350. Like I said, this was near complete, meaning it had almost all of the pieces, and how I figured that out was I just went on to other eBay sold listings and found a item that was like new open box and just compared the pieces to what was in that box at the time, and this one was only missing one little piece. It was one of these small little gates right here. Otherwise, everything was included. The lights and sound functioned on it. It had the little figure, which a lot of the ones online were missing. It was just a really clean piece. There were no other near complete ones listed at the time, and other sold ones had only sold for about $200 to $250. But since mine was going to be the only one in this good of condition on eBay, I was like, hey, I'm going to shoot for the moon and list it at $350. Well, turns out that was a good price to list it at. I had like 14 watchers the first day this thing was listed, and it ended up selling in under 24 hours for the full asking price of $350. I couldn't believe it. I thought for sure I was going to get offers on that, but nope, someone just bought it outright. And the story was pretty similar with this Humvee right here as well. I had the only one that was going to be complete on the marketplace, so I shot a little higher than what solds were going for. There were past solds in between like the $80 and $100 range. I figured, hey, since I'm going to have the only one on the market and it looks like it's in demand, I'm going to list it at $130. Well, Someone ended up shooting me an offer of like 110 bucks. I countered at 120 and it sold within 24 hours for $120. And real quick, I just want to point out that yes, I went on and saw the sold comps for these and I had an idea of what they were worth, but when I really went online and was pricing out my items, I also looked at the supply of the items. I noticed I was going to have the only ones of these two items right here that were complete or near complete on the market, and I knew that they were fast sellers based on the amount of stuff that had sold in the past. So I knew since the supply was low, mine was going to be the only one on the marketplace, that I could ask a premium on this, which is why I priced it above what stuff had historically sold for. So next time you're out there comping your items, make sure you're looking at the sell-through rate as well as the current supply. If you're the only one out there with the supply and the demand is high, you can ask a premium and you can get some more money by simply listing your stuff at a higher price. And that's it. That's going to wrap things up for this video. If you made it this far, do me a favor, hit that like button for me down below this video. It lets me know that you're enjoying the kind of content I'm putting out, and it helps my videos rank better here on YouTube. That's all I ask for the information I provide, is for you to smash that like button. And while you're down there, consider subscribing to my channel. It'll let you know whenever I put out new content just like this one. Otherwise, thank you guys all for watching, and until next time, keep on treasure hunting. Peace.